Okay, guys, this is going to be a set of notes to introduce you to some of the vocabulary words that we're going to use and concepts that we're going to use in this lab coming up. So I'm going to try and go fast here. So we're going to need a couple of definitions. Now, the first definition that I want to do is actually not the definition of energy. We'll get to the definition of energy. First, I want to define something called a system. Now, I think you all probably have an idea of what the word system means, but in physics, it's a little bit more specific. Okay, so a system is going to be any set of objects. Sorry if that O looks kind of weird. Any set of objects that is defined by you. Okay, so here's what that means. That means that you make the choice. Okay, so it really can be anything. All right, any set of objects can be a system. Like when I ask you what a system is, there's not usually a correct answer. But whenever we talk about energy, we have to make a choice. Okay, because everything can't be involved. So we have to say, okay, just these couple things, just Mr. McSparron and the floor, or just the tennis ball and the tennis racket are involved in the system. So we have to specifically say these are the objects involved. And so I'm gonna put a secondary note here that says we must define the system before talking about energy. Okay, so that's a system. Okay, now that we've defined systems, and that's going to be the first thing you do in your lab, next we can define energy. Okay, oops, energy, how about that? Yeah. Okay, energy. Energy is a physical quantity. So quantity means it has like an amount. We can put a number on it. A physical quantity that has the ability to change a system. Okay. So a physical quantity that has the ability to change a system. Energy is something that can make a change. Now it's weird because we can't necessarily touch energy, okay? It's not a thing we can hold, but it is a thing that we can measure and that we know how much there is, okay? So I'm going to put a little secondary note here, okay? And this is going to be has an amount. I'm going to rewrite that word because I think it's hard to read. Has an amount but you can't touch it. Okay. All right, so that's energy. All right, now, oh, come on now. Oh, please don't freeze on me. That's not cool. Jeez, I don't need that right now. Okay, cool. Has an amount, but you can't touch it. Sorry, guys. I guess my internet's going slow. It's because my wife is watching flipping Hulu right now. She's watching Devious Maids. Okay, so next we want to talk about types of energy. I'm going to try and go fast here, okay? So I'm going to write down types. Okay, so there's two main types. So the two main types are going to be kinetic and potential. You've probably heard this in 8th grade before. But the first one is kinetic. Okay? Kinetic, we like to define that as energy of movement. Okay? Anything that moves has kinetic energy. energy. There we go. Okay. So kinetic energy, anything that moves has kinetic energy. So all moving objects have that energy. And if you think about it, we said energy is something that can cause change. Well, any moving object can cause change, like especially if it hits something. So kinetic energy can cause change. All right, next kinds is potential. And really, potential is sort of like if an object has potential to move, then it has potential energy. And so specifically, there's two types of potential energy, okay? So there's gravitational potential energy. And you can probably guess what that means, okay? So any object that might fall has gravitational, there we go. So any object that might fall has gravitational potential energy. So if I hold a ball up over my head, it's got gravitational potential energy because if I let it go, it's going to move. Okay, and then the other type of potential energy is called elastic potential energy. Okay, and so if we think about elastic potential energy, that's going to be any object that might move when something snaps back, like the hat, snaps back to its, I don't know if there should be an apostrophe there. You guys can ask your English teacher. Okay. Original shape. Okay. So, i.e., that means, for example, a spring. Okay. So, if something might move because it's touching something that might snap back, okay, so like if something is sitting on top of a spring that's compressed and that spring's going to snap back, then it's got elastic potential energy. It might move when you let something release. Okay, so that's enough stuff for, enough definitions for our lab. Make sure you go ahead and write a quick summary and then go ahead and get started on the lab.